Hi guys, this is Algo Structures and this is the fourth video of our complete C++ STL course. In this video, we will talk about the array class. Basically, array class provide us the functionality same as standard C language style arrays. Like they take the contiguous memory, they store the homogeneous data and they are of fixed size. But there are some differences also. And one important thing to mention here is that we can use vectors in every question where we want to use the array class, but still it's beneficial for us to have an idea of the array class so that if someone else has used array class in his code, it's easier for us to understand it. So here is the syntax to create an array. In Angular brackets, first we have to mention the type and then we have to mention the size. We can create array of any type. It may be primitive type like int, float, double, character, etc. or maybe non-primitive type like pairs, tuples, arrays or even our own classes also. Now I will discuss some of the concepts of array class in comparison to the standard C language style arrays. The first one is declaration and initialization. These are the various different ways with which we can declare and initialize arrays. The first one is if we just declare an array, whether it is array class object or C style arrays, they will be initialized with the garbage value. If while declaration we initialize them with the empty list, then they initialize with 0 value at every position. If we initialize them with some values in the list, then all the remaining values will be initialized to 0. As you can see here, first three values are initialized to 1 to 3 and the remaining values are initialized to 0. Next is we can skip the size of an array while declaration. When we are assigning a list of values to the array, it will automatically create an array of size 5. But in array class, we always have to mention the size. We cannot skip the size 5 here, otherwise it will produce errors. Next is later if we want to assign or update values in the arrays using the list, we have to mention all the values. Like here the size of the array is 5, therefore we have to mention all the 5 values in the list. If we provide lesser values than 5 like here or here, it will produce errors. Next is dynamic memory allocation. As we know, we can dynamically allocate or deallocate memory to the standard C style arrays using the new and delete operator, and they take memory on the heap at runtime. This concept is not available for the array class. For array class, size must be known at the compile time and they always take memory on the stack. Next is size of an array. In order to find the size of standard C style array, we have to use the size of operator. But array class provides us the member function size, which returns us the size of the array directly. Next is for range loop. We can use for range loop on standard C style arrays and both array class objects also. But C style arrays are not very handy with the for range loop, as we will see in the next concept of assignment. Next is C style arrays are declared as a pointer. What does it mean? It means an array is just a pointer to the first element. As you can see here, like this 1 2 3 4 5 values will store in the memory, and CRA4 is nothing but pointing to the first element of this memory, such that basically it is just a pointer to the first element, and when we assign this value to some other array or pointer, then that pointer will also start pointing to the same memory. So now CRA5 will also start pointing to the same memory, first element of the array. So now if we do changes using the CRA5, like here we change the value of 1 to 10, it will also reflect in the CRA4. As you can see here I have printed the values of CRA4 and you can see the result. It will print 10, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we have updated the value of 0th index to 10. So now if we want to find the size using CRA5, it will result the value 1 because now CRA5 is a pointer and we know pointer is of type int. This size of will return the size of an int, and when we divide size of int by size of int, it will result to 1. This is similar what happens when we pass an array in a function. It just passes the pointer to the first element, and in that function we cannot use the size of because it will result the value 1. That's why we have to pass the size of an array in the second argument. Now here also I cannot use a for range loop on the CRA5 because CRA5 is a pointer and we cannot use for range loop on the pointers. Therefore earlier I have said that for range loops are not very handy with the arrays. Next are array class. Array class not declared as a pointer. What does it mean? It means is array class object array4 is not a pointer to the first element of the array, but it is an object that completely represent the whole value. And if we assign this value to some other array class object, like here array5, then a new copy is created for the array5 with the same values as array4. As you can see here, a new copy will be created for array5. This copy creation is a big O AND function, because to create a copy for array5 we have to traverse the array4 one time. So now if we change the value at 0th index of array5, here the value will changes to 10, and it will not affect the values of array4, as both array4 and array5 have different copies. So here if we print the value of array4, it will print it to 1 2 3 4 5. And also we can use for range loop on the array5. As you can see here, we cannot use for range loop on the C array5 because it is a pointer, but here it is a array class object. This is exactly what happens when we pass an array in the function. As you can see here, while passing the C style arrays, we have to also pass the size of the array, and while passing the array class objects, we don't have to pass the size. Now we will see all these three functions. Now here is the function where we are passing the C style arrays. Here we have to pass the size, because I have already discussed in the assignment concept, if we use size of here, it will produce the result as 1, because array here representing a pointer. Also here we cannot use a for range loop because array is representing a pointer, and if we use for range loop on pointer, it will produce error. So we have to use the simple loop using the size passed as a second argument. Next function is for passing the array class object. As we have discussed in the assignment example, here a new copy will be created for the array, and this copy creation is a big O AND operation. Therefore, we always have to try to pass the value by reference, because it will not create a new copy of the array. It will use the same copy of array that we have passed while calling the function. As you can see in the next function, here I have passing the array object as a reference. Now it will not create a new copy for the array. It will use the same copy of the array that we have passed in the function. You can see here we can use for range loop on the array objects, and also we can find the size directly using the size function. Also here you can see that we have hard coded the size to 5, such that now this function only accepts the array class objects which are of size 5, which is not a good programming technique. To overcome this, we can create a generic function using template. As you can see here, using templates in C++, we can also pass the size of the function, to the function. Now it is a generic function. We can pass an object of array class of any size to this function, and it is a generic function now. So if you don't know how templates work in C++ or how we can pass size in the templates, just skip it for now and Google it later. Next are some inbuilt functions provided by the array class. In order to access value at any index, we can use the square bracket syntax, or we can use the add function. But there is some difference between the two. In first one, if the index is out of range, it will return us the garbage value, or it may also leads to segmentation fault. What if we use the add function? When index is out of range, it will throw the exception out of range at the runtime. They both are constant time operations. We can use the front member function. It will return us the first element value. We can use the back function. It will return us the last element value, and they both are also constant time operations. Next is we can check whether the array is empty or not using the empty member function. Next is we can swap the values of two arrays using the swap member function. Note that the swap function is of big O AND complexity, because it will swap the values at each index. Next is fill member function. By using the fill, we can fill the entire array with a particular value. Like here, I am filling the entire array 1 with the value 1. Next are iterators. Iterators are also just like pointers. They pointer to element of a container, and By using the iterators, we can iterate over the containers. Like here, our container is the array class. These are the various different functions which provide us the iterators to different positions and of different types. As you can see here, if we use .begin member function on array4, it will return us an array of, return us an iterator of array class type, which is pointing to the first element of the array. Here is the syntax to create an iterator of type array, or also to represent it, we can use the auto. Auto is a storage class which automatically detects the type of iterator when we assign a value to it. Like here, array4.begin will return an iterator to the array class object. Now the auto will automatically detect the type and declare the type of iterator to the type of array class iterator. So here is what the different member function returns. So if we use begin, it will return an iterator to the beginning of the array. Like here, it will return the iterator to the beginning of the array 4. And now if we print the value of this iterator using the dereferencing operator, just like pointers, it will result it to 1 because it is pointing to the first value and its value is 1. Similarly to the begin, the end function will return an iterator one position after the end of the array. As here you can see the end position is 5. It will return an iterator to just the next position. It returns the iterator to the next of end position because it is helpful while iterating over the array. As you can see in this example, we are starting from the beginning of the array and we are going till it is not equal to the end of the array, such that it will start from 1 and then it will go to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then it stops when it becomes equal to the end iterator. That's why end will return an iterator just after the last position so that we can easily iterate over the array. By using the plus plus, if iterator is at the first position, by doing +1 it will go to the second position, by doing +1 it will go to the third position, and so on. Similarly, like begin and end, rbegin and rend are just reverse of them. Rbegin will return an iterator to the end position and reverse end will return iterator to just before the first position of the array. And if we do plus plus in them, like here as you can see in this example, here I've used the reverse begin and reverse end. By using this, I am iterating over the array in the reverse order. As reverse begin return me the iterator to the last position. If I do +1, I will move from 5 to 4 and then 4 to 3 and then 2 and then 1, and then it will become equal to reverse end and then the loop stops. And that's how we iterate over the array in the reverse order, such that it will print the values in order 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next, as you can see here in the list, that for every begin and rbegin and rend, there are functions cbegin, cend, rcbegin and rcend. Basically, there is one difference between them. The cbegin will return as an iterator which is of constant type, such that by using that iterator we cannot change the value of the array. As you can see here, I am using the begin and end only. Here by using this iterator we can change the value of the array, and here I am changing every value using the iterator to 10. Don't mess with these values and these values. I have taken this example just for explanation that by using the iterator of begin and end we can change the value of the array. But if we use cbegin or cend, it will return an iterator with which we cannot change the value. So that here I am using the cbegin and cend. So here if I try to change the value using the iterator returned by the cbegin and try to update value, it will produce errors. Similarly for rcbegin and rcend also, it will produce errors if I try to change the value because they return the constant iterators. Next are all 6 comparison operators that we have discussed in the tuple video are also valid on the array class, and they also compare all the values in the lexicographically order just like the tuples. So that's it for the array class. Please like the video and subscribe the channel. If you have any queries, you can ask in the comment section. And yeah, thanks. Have a nice day.